TWM podcast. Just would like to let you know that Indy Wrestling Show is brought to you in association with the Babyface app, available on the Google Store and the Apple Store. Now, what is the Babyface app? Well, if you're a British wrestling fan, it is the only thing that matters. Want to check out what the latest shows are in your area? The Babyface app can do that. Want to check out the win-loss record for your favourite wrestler at the moment? The Babyface app can do that. Do you want to bring back the glory that was the Origin Banter Edition? Sadly, Babyface haven't got that kind of sorted out yet. Imagine it's in the beta stage, I can be assured. But if you want to check out any of their matches from Progress or anywhere else past, you can check it out at the Babyface app. Also, you can read loads of articles from loads of esteemed wrestling personnel, including ourselves, TWM. You can check out all of our BritWres articles in one easy place, and that is the Babyface app on the Google Play Store and Apple Store. Hello, I am Matty Deller and welcome to the Indy Wrestling Show, bringing you the world of graps that is at your doorstep, covering all things in the UK, USA and around the world, a part of the TWM podcast, bringing you your daily dose of wrestling news, reviews and interviews in all the usual places, and those places are Apple and Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Acast, Podbean, TuneIn, YouTube, and actually wherever else you get your pods. This podcast is brought to you alongside the Babyface app. If you want to check out any of our BritWres content, you can check it on the Babyface app, which is available on Apple and Google Play Store. It's the one-stop shop for all things British wrestling. You want to find out about events in your area, wrestlers' win-loss records, what wrestlers are wrestling soon, where they're going to be wrestling, all that stuff. It is a tremendous hub for the British independent wrestling scene to go and get that on your phone right now. And also, there's articles read up there, a lot of them from TWM Wrestling. TWM podcast as a whole are brought to you by Squared Circle Box, squaredcirclebox.com. 10% off your first order just by using the code TWM News in that checkout, and you can get 10% off your first order. I do believe that the October box is coming out round about now, so if you want to get into the November box, now is the chance with that code, as we said, TWM News in the checkout for 10% off. Big thank you to Squared Circle Box for that. It's a two-man booth this week. Joining me, as always, independent wrestling connoisseur, notable Welshman, and my travel buddy for pretty much the whole weekend apart from one Saturday. So 2 out of 3 ain't bad. It's Mike Mears.
I'm back from excursion after last week. You know, I'm here. I went on excursion, a learning excursion from the 90s. I'm here now. We cannot confirm or deny whether you were under a mask in Mexico, but I hear your Spanish has improved massively. See? No, I just said yes again. Anyway, we've got slaughterhouses, we've got tournaments, we've got NWA related madness, and we've got we've got the power! That as well. Apologies to the headphone users. And there's a whole host of British wrestling happening this weekend that you might not be aware of, and maybe you can get down to it. We're going to preview a whole host of things. But first, let's get in to MLW. Before the slaughterhouse begins, and that's not just our review, I mean, that's what the show's called this week, the Von Erichs tell us that the Dynasty need to act like champions about 6 times between them. They seem to fill up this promo by just repeating themselves over and over again. You act like champions, man. Yeah, champions, man. They don't sound as Boomhauer-ish from King of the Hill, but it's kind of like, I think they're doing the conceive, believe, achieve thing, where they're like, if we keep saying champions, then we'll believe we're champions, then we'll be champions.
They're going to face off against the Dynasty in a Texas Tornado match at Superfight. Yeah, that sounds quite good. Then we get a special introduction for Jimmy Havoc Slaughterhouse, and he says tonight's going to be about unicorns, puppies, and blood, which literally is the most on-brand. If he said Taylor Swift, that would have been the Jimmy Havoc aesthetic.
It's like just a really weird episode of Fusion where it's like, we've got unicorns, puppies, blood, and a live set from Taylor Swift.
That is a Jimmy Havoc mood board if I've ever seen one. We open with Insanity as Los Haraganes, Animal Dementia, I've realised how weird that name sounds, actually. And Silver Star defeated Triple Amenaza, Randu, Starboy, and Zarko. Dives to begin, and I would say this is the one thing in this match that made sense.
Yeah, we've had a conversation about this match, and obviously we were sort of like set up for what we were going to see, and it's very opening match on a Mexican card. I can almost guarantee this was either the first or second match that happened on that show at the Crown.
But also, on top of that, because it's been so cut to shit to go on TV, it doesn't really make a lot of sense. Like, first of all, I want to point out that AJ Kirsch can't say the word macabre, because he kept saying macabre. Macabre! It's like, Jesus Christ. A lot of things happen. We get a really cool, like, teeter-totter dropkick spot, which was nice. We then get a contra insert, and when we are back, one team are just bleeding. That was strange. And there was floorboard set up on the ramps for reasons.
Yeah, it was like 20 minutes worth of work from the match. Yeah, like the Contra promo was like, what, 2 minutes?
Yeah, it's like we went through some sort of time warp. 20 minutes had passed and we only saw 10 seconds.
It's like it was a children's TV show where they had like or the Crystal Maze or something like that, where they had 2 minutes to arrange everything around the ring and cut themselves.
Much better if they had more of a Crystal Maze vibe. The ref is very biased to one team, and Rich and AJ are confused by this because apparently they've never seen Lucha Libre before. Although, it's weird to have... Usually, they have two refs. A heel... Do all the day have the one ref? Is it just two refs in a trios match?
Quite consistent. No, but there only ever tends to be two referees that are used on shows, and they are very much either a face ref or a heel ref.
Yeah, but I mean, are they...
Like, the heel refs are very, very sort of pronounced, and you know who's a heel ref. Mine
was more of a case of, don't they normally have two refs for trios matches added in the ring at the same time?
Differs from some promotions do. Some
I see. So I was going to say, I know CMLL does have two refs for trios, but Crash obviously doesn't. So they were really confused. But this ref is very biased. Watch Lucha Libre; it happens a lot. There's a leaping arm drag into a floorboard, and then Starboy took a headfirst dive and barely, like, genuinely, in a week where dives have gone horribly wrong in Mexico, that was a very uncomfortable dive to watch as Starboy took a header and missed the board, and basically his arm took the front of the floorboard and his head took the concrete instead. Yeah,
in all fairness, this had been recorded, two or so weeks ago before it, and the other dive hadn't happened yet, so...
No, I mean, it's just, yeah, like, the last thing you want to see is another person doing that. The Los Hadagones hit a triple powerbomb, and they get a very slow win. 1. Dramatic pause. 2. Knee pad up, knee pad down. And then the
Shield.
LA Park then cuts a promo backstage in Espanol. But to translate it, he pretty much said he's going to break Fatu's damn fucking face. So just couldn't say fucking face, had to be damn fucking face.
Yeah. You've got to add the extra words in there just so you really get your point across.
Then we get a bit of H2 TV where Brian Pillman is poolside with a lovely lady.
Why? I felt like this was just like an infomercial for an infomercial. That was very American. Just like something you'd see like setting up. Do you remember the 5-minute previews we used to get after Raw?
Yeah.
It was kind of like that, just to set up a movie that they were showing that night.
When you said 5-minute previews, I was generally fearful of where you were going with this. Are we looking at
basically the people that listening? If you were a teenager when Raw was on a Friday night in the UK, you would know what the 5-minute preview is.
Yes, but it was just, this was weird because it was like him basically mocking Loki. I did like the thing where it was like, "I'm Loki. I talk like this, so I demand respect."
It was a good impression. Fair play.
And then he's I went, it's not that, it's the fact that he has previous of knocking people the fuck out is the main reason he has respect. And then, like any sensible man does, he yeets the woman into a pool because their conversation is finished. I do that with my girlfriend all the time. Any body of water,
it's
really.
True, he does.
Fjords, ravines, bathtubs, puddles.
Anything wet.
I sounded wrong. Then we cut backstage to Jimmy Havoc, and I love Jimmy Havoc's Spanish accent where he's getting everything wrong.
Well, of course he is.
It's only the thing of like El Hijo de la Park. He got it.
Yeah.
And he can't say Promociones Dorada.
Yeah, you'd think that'd be one of like the tests to get in the group. That would be involved in the group.
He's like Promociones Dorada. I'm like, that's nowhere near. But oh no, what happened? Joseph Samuel didn't show up. But we do get sassy Jimmy Havoc.
Was he? Did he have issues getting into Mexico because he brought in contraband?
This is the last
Yes!
That Indie Wrestling show. Mike has been fired and not allowed to stand near a microphone ever again. But we did get some great lines. I did like Selena being like, "Are you on your period, Jimmy?" And then Jimmy goes, "No, but you are."
But this was the bit as well where he's like, "Oh, fine, I'll go find him myself." You just can't get the staff nowadays. Like the most British of fucking sassy Jimmy Havoc moments ever.
Oh, it's great. But then Samuel jumps Hio from behind and they brawl in some complex. And I swear I saw a wrestling ring on the floor below on the outside.
Yes, there definitely was, because I saw that.
Is that like a Mexican? Is that like a Mexican version? Like, do like leisure centers? They're like normally have like tennis courts. Do Mexican places have wrestling?
Where Wrestling Society X was actually filmed.
Just down there, you just see Vampiro waiting.
My classic.
Jimmy Jacobs sitting there waiting for Tyler Black to turn up. Hio Park sends him for a floorboard, takes control, but then Contra attack Hio Park as Selena screams down the phone. And Rich, batting 1,000 for just saying stupid shit. Maybe she's calling an assassin, or maybe one of her wrestlers.
Yeah. Plus, you would sort of. I'm not meaning to stereotype, but you would imagine she would have, like Promociones Dorada would have more troops in Mexico, maybe. Yeah.
But it's just the funny.
So even if they weren't ever mentioned again, it was like, just get some random guys to help him.
I just love the fact that Rich immediately assumes that she's going to get assassin to turn up.
Cause Mexico.
Manslaughter then challenges Jimmy Havoc to a Stairway to Hell match at Super Fight, which I am very much all in for. And Jimmy Havoc, except they actually explained this, because sometimes they go like, well, how would you know straight away? But then they did say it was on social media, so Jimmy's like, well, I was having a good time, and then I saw your tweet, Manslaughter.
But it's also his show, so he would know what's going on, like, actually out on the air.
And if Jimmy's paying attention to that, it's like, I'll just put it all on air, I'm going to be sitting there watching the violence.
Yeah, but he's also got a match to get ready for as well.
Is there beer allowed in this production truck? No, then you can fuck off and you deal with it. Telling
yeah, but that's only because there's no beer allowed, because it's only tequila.
It's like, I want to drink the beer outside.
Jimmy would be fine.
If he said cervezas, they will let him in. And other stereotypes.
Got to learn that lingo.
He tells Warner that the Stairway to Hell match was the first death match he ever watched. So he has studied everything there is to do, and he is going to enjoy it. I'm looking forward to that. That should be quite good. We then get a Lifestyles of the Rich and Dynastic as Holiday and MJF sing God Bless America on a rooftop because they're back home. Hammerstone then brings up the tag defense against the Von Erichs, and Holiday goes, oh yeah, my lawyer / father. I love that. MJF goes, stop calling your dad that, it's weird.
Yeah, it is annoying though.
But I love the fact that he goes, yes, he is my dad, but in this context, he is more my lawyer.
Maybe I'm just at a point where, like, I can't accept the fact that one of those, or both of the AirPods are actually stuck in his brain.
Yeah, I think that's it.
And like Homer calls him to be stupid.
Maybe he's a robot. It's what we've not realised.
He's related to Danny Duggan. It all makes sense now.
And he says, however, that they got the match out of Mexico, but they had to move it to the pay-per-view instead. And MJF just banging out these great lines, like, your dad got OJ off, but they can't get us out of this match.
Yeah.
But then, actually, Hammerstone has a great one. He's like, it's a Texas Tornado Rules match. Does that mean that no shoes are allowed?
What did they try and get it changed to?
Was it? Holiday was like, he was like, we'll try and get it changed to a Dynasty Tornado match. And MJF goes, what does that mean? And he goes, I don't know. We'll match where it's in our favour. And then they agree to go sailing to make themselves feel better. And MJF rounds off with the best line ever and how I want to end every conversation I have. Let's have a nice yacht.
Yeah.
I have a question though. What happened to the whole Hammerstone boffing Davey Boy Smith's sister storyline?
Tinder's a hell of a thing.
They kind of just dropped it, didn't they?
Cause Japan.
Is that your reasoning?
Yeah,
let's have a nice yacht and move on to the main event. Jimmy Havoc over Damien CCC and Savio Vega. This was all right. It was
hardcore legend Savio Vega, which I only learned in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, because he had loads of hardcore matches in Puerto Rico. I kind of was aware. I think if you wrestle in Puerto Rico, by proxy, you are going to have hardcore matches. So
it may be that he's classed as hardcore because he wrestled 4 times in one night at the King of the Ring.
That's it. You think you're hardcore, you think you're extreme. I wrestled in 4 matches on King of the Ring 95. Havoc gives Vega and Damien the V, so they batter him until Vega hits a shit clothesline and Rich Bikini jizzes himself at this. Cookie sheets, but Damien no-sells it. And then Savio Vega, we've been like ragging on him ever since he debuted because he's old and slow. But my God, he went full Steve Blackman with that kendo stick. It was brilliant.
He did. If only he had the lights flashing around him, that would have worked even better.
Full on, just like proper ninja shit. Just whack it well good. And then there's chairs, there's trash can lids. Havoc takes some thumbtacks to the taint and then gets dropped toe hold into them. Havoc sets up a table, the leg immediately goes, so now we're all watching the table as Vega lays him on him very gingerly. Because we know we're about to get a table that just dies. But it stays up. Damien then superplexes Vega through the table. That was a nice table break as well. That table exploded under the weight of the big lads. Havoc stomps Damien out the way, and then he hits Vega with a Rainmaker for the win. It was a short match, and again, this show wasn't really based around, it was 2 proper matches and 1 no contest, but it was fun. It was more segment heavy, mainly because they're waiting until Super Fight turns up so they can actually have a proper TV taping. Havoc beats Damien CCC's after the bell, but his son, Bestia CCC's, made the save for his dad, so maybe we get Havoc and Bestia next week. I don't know if that was on the tapings or not.
The Crash partnership lives on. That's what I'm guessing.
Yeah, and the Crash editing still lives on as well when it comes to these shows from Mexico. Power! And one day we'll make it onto the intro, the 5-minute countdown where all the tweets go up. One day. One day we'll be on there.
We should need to start tweeting Dave Lagana directly.
He's on TWM Talks this week. What more can we do?
Was he asked?
Yeah, can you put us on the intro onto Power? We get a recap of the Tim Storm, Nick Aldis, Camille stuff. And Joe Galli has another interview with Nick Aldis tonight, but there will be no questions about Camille. See how that turns out. Eddie Kingston interrupts him and Joe, and NWA have got it bang on with him. As someone said on Twitter, I can't remember what it was, it might have been Eddie Sideburns, it might have been someone else, said, just give Eddie Kingston a mic and let him go, because he's just going to talk people into the building.
Yeah. I love everything about this. This is the first time I've had a chance to talk about Power on the podcast at all. There 3 episodes in. And I love it, literally everything about it. But Eddie Kingston is just that cherry on top of the cake. It's just amazing.
We spoke about it last week, how it's bizarre, but actually makes perfect sense that Eddie Kingston and Homicide are Jim Cornette guys. They are because if you look at the previous people that Jim Cornette likes to bring through, Jim Cornette loved LAX, he loved Homicide and Hernandez, he loved Homicide and Low Key and stuff in both TNA and in Ring of Honor. And even before that, I imagine he sees Kingston and Homicide and thinks back to the Gangsters at Smoky Mountain, and he's like,
definitely
brilliant. We need people like this because it does fit in that tough street mentality.
There's always it's always something you can kind of relate to, I think, for a lot of people.
Then we get to some women's action as Marty Bell goes over Crystal Rose. I'm happy Marty Bell because I said this when I was live tweeting Power yesterday. That NWA have kind of, there's a lot of wrestlers that companies have dropped the ball on, like your Eddie Kingstons, your Homicides, your Marty Bells, your Aaron Stevens, your Eli Drakes, and they've kind of almost fallen. Caleb Conley as well, we'll talk about him later. They've kind of fallen into NWA's lap, and they've managed to actually build, by hook or by crook, a really decent roster of people that other companies weren't touching.
It's incredible, their roster. Just incredible.
Well, they're the women's roster. They've got Ashley Vox, they've got Alison Kay, they've got Marty Bell. We said this before, you see it in the vignettes, they've got Melina coming in as well. Like, they've got a really, really solid women's foundation. There's a whole bunch, and Thunder Rosa, of course.
Of course, yeah, that was... I'll get onto that, I'm sure.
Rose gets some offense in, but Bell runs wild. I'm still getting used to the end, like the old school NWA style of it's basically 3 squash matches and then a main event that might end in a no contest, or maybe I have to get used to that.
It is something a bit different, but like I really enjoy it.
It's a change of pace, isn't it?
It's almost like I remember it was kind of like watching like Wrestling Challenge and like the old version of Superstars. From,
if you go onto the net, I remember a couple of like about a month or so ago, I was just sat there and was just going through the like Jim Crockett stuff on the network. And it is beat for beat. I know because it's the NWA. It's beat for beat. It's the same thing. It's a interview. They start off with an interview, go into a squash match. Then there's like some another interview, squash match, and it builds up to that main event. They've gone back to go forward, and it makes it really refreshing, which is really cool.
One really good thing that they've done is, so again, they're 3 weeks in. AEW are 3 weeks in as well now. Am I right? Yeah,
roughly.
Yeah. Weirdly, Power, in the space of 1 hour show every week, have done better to establish stars, in my eyes, than AEW have, because they've used vignettes and those interview segments very effectively.
Yeah. And one thing we'll kind of go into it a little bit, because there's some bits on here, is that what I love about this is they're not afraid to make fun of the fact of how retro it is. Almost to the point where some of the stuff is very almost like Adult Swim, surrealist stuff. Like they've got the wrestling, but at the same time they're like, yeah, we know that this is it's meant to look a little bit naff, but in a complimentary way, and in like it's meant to look old school, it's meant to look retro, it's meant to look a little bit rough around the edges.
And the way that, like, I think it's happened once in every episode that somebody's gone to go back through the curtain and they've not found the middle of it.
Yeah,
they've been way off. Like, that's a little thing that it makes me laugh. Like, but Eli Drake did it this week, and I was like, "Oh fucking hell!" Like, I know that they're going to position him as quite a big star within the NWA now, but just bless him. Like, just nobody can find it.
Rhodes gets some offense in, but Bell runs wild back to the match anyway, and facebuster by Marty Bell for the win. Then Dave Marquez welcomes the Dawsons, and they talk about tearing this place apart, and they said they'll fight any team that isn't Eddie Kingston and Homicide.
I really love Dave Marquez's voice.
Yeah,
it's like these interview segments so well.
It's such an 80s wrestling voice, isn't it? Ladies and gentlemen, wrestling fan. It's so good. Because he's the ring announcer. Is he the ring? Yeah, he's the ring announcer, isn't he, as well? Dave Marquez. So it's really, really cool.
Although, I don't know if you've noticed, there's some weird editing with the... you know how it is on like the WWE Network where they've had to dub over where they dub like WWF champion and things like that.
Yeah,
there's a couple of moments like that, and you're like, I can tell this was recorded in a studio.
It's one of those things. I've had this chat before where you can tell when they've redubbed stuff. I've even spoken to people that have worked in the industry going, well, there's nothing you can really do. I'm like, surely you could record it in an echoey room to give that echoey feel. And they're like, no, you can't really get it exactly the way it sounds, so you're better off just getting it as clear as possible. So it's just one of those things, I think. We get the vignette for Thunder Rosa. She's awesome. So
they've made her look really good with that. Like, that's a very high level vignette. That's very impressive.
She was getting upset on Twitter because people were saying she's like Rosemary. It's like, no, we just both have face paint. We are completely different. And then obviously you've been watching this not been on to discuss it. Aaron Stevens
acting.
He's just it's just the like. Because we've not seen him for a while, because obviously last time we saw him was Aaron Rex, and he was doing the whole Liberace thing, and it was quite good in all fairness. But my God, I forgot how good a performer Aaron Stevens is. The fact that he's come in and gone, I've been doing acting, I've not been wrestling, so what I'm doing now is I'm going to basically do The Miz, but a lot more annoying.
Yeah, that's one really good thing about him. Like, he's obviously been doing improv stuff as well, and quite a substantial amount of it. Just the way he's pulled off that moment where he's like, "No, I'm not Captain Morgan," and then walks out from behind the podium. Like, podium's the best thing on the show, by the way, just for the record. And then poses like Captain Morgan.
That killed me. Like, that was so funny.
Knowing how to take these little things and really adapt to them. But it's great how the NWA aren't afraid of like the fan participation.
Yeah,
and letting the guys use it, and they've been very open and telling the talent, "Oh, go ahead. If you hear something, run with it, because we can always edit it out if it doesn't work. Whereas if you miss it and it could be something gold, we'll never get that."
It's great. Like I love the fact that with that's what you get with that captive studio audience, like with the studio TV taping. It works really, really well. I really, really like it. Then he's here to promote his new movie Tropical Pirates, and it's available on the VHS in Romania.
It's a special edition there.
I hope it's a two VHS set.
It's a long movie.
They couldn't afford the long play. No, you used to get the long play VHSs.
Yeah.
If you recorded a certain thing, it was 6 hours instead of 3. They couldn't afford them. We get a recap of the whole Storm and Aldis thing from 2 weeks ago again. And then we get Caleb Conley over the D-Man, who is fighting for Canada. D-Man gets
Which went over really well in America.
It was a Conley showcase. D-Man did get some offense in. Big senton from Conley, big slam from Conley, and then a turnaround moonsault for the win. Tim Storm then comes out and cuts a promo about his time as NWA champion. He's lost to Nick Aldis, and Mama Storm is the most over person in the company without even being there.
They need to sell Mama Storm shirts at the pay-per-view.
I don't know at what point there was that weird advert for invisible hair cream, but it was there. I've got to admit.
That was fucking hilarious.
So confused.
But there was also like if you bought it in the next 30 minutes, you got the invisible voice cream as well.
I'm not sure which one's better.
That doesn't make any sense, but it's perfect.
I don't know what was more surreal and funnier. Is it this one, or was it the one last week with the waffle and tire iron shop?
I can't remember the first name, but it's something folks.
What I love it, because I think all these people are old NWA wrestlers. They're just doing these really weird. Like, the ironic thing was, I remember seeing Post Wrestling talked about it, and then they were like, I want to know if the Austin Idol school's real. And he's like, no, it is real. That's the one thing that's been real the entire time.
Well, it reminds me of about, Christ, it was about 10 years back. Quentin Tarantino did a movie called Grindhouse that was 2 separate movies. They tried to cut them down and everything, But all of the trailers in between the 2 movies were they were never actual movies. They just got 4 directors and like concept ideas and got them to make trailers for these movies. And it's almost like they're doing that again, which really kind of like excites me because it's very creative and they're trying to do things differently.
Yeah, it's like I said, like you get these like really serious wrestling stuff, but then these bits in the middle are very like Tim and Eric. They're very,
but like
it works. It really
what
works.
The adverts were like in the 80s.
Yeah. That Austin Idol one still kills me. It is. If you repeat when someone's shouting something in a commercial, I'm always going to laugh. Always kills me. Eli Drake interrupts, and I assumed there was going to be some sort of graps here, but Eli's a face, it looks like, in the NWA, and gives Tim Storm a pep talk and offers them to take on the Dawsons. Tim says that he'll think about it. We then get... This confused me, and it might have been a little bit of a blip, because I did not understand this whole segment. It was very, very weird. Because we get a recap of Josephus and James Storm from 2 weeks ago, and Josephus wants to offer James Storm an apology, but Colt Cabana comes out, but Colt Cabana's a face, and Josephus is a heel, and James Storm's a face. So I don't know why Colt Cabana's taking the piss out of James Storm, but then again, actually, James Storm and... I was going to say, then again, James Storm and Colt Cabana are feuding over the national title.
Yeah.
So... Again, there's this weird shades of grey there, which I'm surprised with a Jim Cornette-related company. He shakes basically he dresses up and just goes, "Hey Jim, I'm a cowboy."
Like some of the stuff he came out with. I don't think we could even talk about it and like truly do it justice. Like,
go and watch it. It's great.
Go and watch it. It's so good.
It's just also what I found out as well is that I thought he'd left Ring of Honor to do this.
No, like I think his contract status is really weird, where he's actually got a commentating contract, and occasionally they get him to wrestle.
Yeah, and he's
so it allows him to do this, but also because it's on YouTube, it doesn't affect anything with TV appearances.
That's why I'm intrigued with the pay-per-view coming up. What's going to happen with that? But we'll see anyway.
Yeah.
Josephus then powders him in the eyes for reasons. Storm makes the save and drops Josephus with the last call, but then Anderson makes the save for Colt Cabana.
this was really confusing.
I can't tell like what they're trying to piece together. Are they trying to just create tag teams to go together now, to build a division organically instead of just showing you tag teams?
Yeah, like they got like the Anderson Colt thing's going to stick around mainly because last week was funny. Anderson, Cabana. Joe Galli then talks to Nick Aldis, who I say is the most dapper man in pro wrestling.
That fully agreed. And definitely well deserving of being the NWA champion.
He's probably as well over the last 2 years the most improved wrestler in wrestling.
I would say he's been the best world champion in any promotion.
Oh, a spicy take. I like it. He puts everyone over. Basically, he's doing the whole Flair thing. He's putting everyone over, but still going. He's doing that thing of putting everyone over, but it's showing that he's the best. He's like, you're all good. Even with Ricky Starks, he's like, he's not ready for the £10 of gold, but he's my draft pick. He's my top guy. He's going to be one for the future. And you are right, because Ricky Starks is fucking awesome. And then, damn it, I like Joe Galli. He doesn't like clickbait. He's one of us. But he brings up the Camille thing again, and Camille mugs him off again.
There's obviously some sort of payoff to this. There's got to be something.
Yeah.
Even if it's just she tells Joe Galli to fuck off.
He just looks at him and just goes, fuck off, pal. We then get a vignette for the question mark.
A vacant returns to the NWA.
I can't. Yeah, was he 53-time champion at this point?
A multi-sport, multi-gender champion. Can do what he wants.
The greatest wrestler of all time, vacant. What I loved about it is they had this woman rambling on that vignette, and they just put question marks up on the screen. I was like, yeah, I don't know what this is either.
Are they actually insinuating? It's very 80s, of course. You got to remember this vibe. They're going, woman. What is she talking about?
Women, know your limits. That's a joke from Harry Enfield. Do not clip that and cancel me. The Dawsons then go over Tim Storm and Eli Drake in your main event. Eli and the Ball... sorry?
Like I say, it's just come back to me that the Dawsons, when they came out for their promo earlier in the show, got a Dawson's Creek chant.
Oh, yeah.
It just made me laugh.
I do love that. Eli and the Ball Dawson grab to start, and Eli takes a big clothesline and neck breaker to take over. The suplex fails for Eli, but then one does as well for Harry Dawson. The Dawson gets some offense in, but basically Drake and Storm stay on top for the majority of the match until the Dawsons grab Tim Storm in a bear hug and wear him down. Eli Drake gets that hot tag. He misses a charge and hits the ring post, and Dawson hits a crushing power slam for the win. It was an okay match in all fairness. The Dawsons then beat down Tim Storm post-match, and Homicide and Kingston make the save. And Nick Aldis checks on Tim Storm to close. Like I said, this, it flies by. It feels like a 25-minute show, and it's a 45 to 50-minute show.
It's so easy to watch, isn't it?
Yeah.
So easy to watch. I really like the... It looks like they're not going that way, but I got quite excited at the prospect of them doing Eli Drake and Tim Storm as a tag team. I like the younger and older guy.
Yeah, I thought that'll be great, maybe. So, and
it's real strong babyface tag team there as well.
Yeah, I would agree that maybe then you can have Eli turn on Tim Storm, and that gets you a big heel to go up against Aldis if they class Aldis as a face. I don't know at this point. If you're, I said this last week, I've said it the week before as well. If you're kind of getting a bit fed up with the way wrestling is laid out in this day and age, NWA Power is a really, really good kind of palate cleanser for the wrestling fan. So I would recommend checking it out. This podcast, and indeed all TWM podcasts, are brought to you by SquaredCircleBox.com, the only place for your monthly wrestling box needs. With things from superstars from WWE, AEW, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Impact Wrestling, British Wrestling, Independent Wrestling, and loads more, it is the only place that matters if you want to get the best wrestling swag for a low, low price. That low, low price is just £25, people. What a bargain! And you can get snapbacks, t-shirts, magazines, DVDs, trinkets, whatchamacallit, doodads, you name it, they have it each and every month. And just because you listen to TWM, you sexy, sexy people, you get 10% off your first order. All you got to do is use the code TWM News in the checkout. Just use the code TWM News in the checkout for 10% off your first order at SquaredCircleBox.com.
spread? I said, why not spread the gospel of the TWM squad with some of our lovely merch over at Teespring? We have t-shirts for all shapes and sizes, hoodies, sweatshirts, mugs, stickers, and loads more. Also, just for listening to this podcast, you can get 10% off your order. I said using the code PODCAST. That's PODCAST. Once again, PODCAST in the checkout for 10% off at teespring.com/stores/TWM-wrestling-merch. That's right. Praise, testify.
This past Sunday, we went and had a spooky time at Attack Pro Wrestling Goosebumps 7 at the Trinity Centre in Bristol. Took Joe from other podcasts. He came up all the way from London up to his first non-London Attack Pro Wrestling show. And we had a wonderful old time in the old church hall. A wonderfully
ghoulish time, wasn't it?
It was very spooky. Jim Lee was dressed as that thing from Stranger Things. I can't remember what it was called.
13?
Yeah, whatever it's called. There were some really good costumes. Want to give a shout out to Kat and Sean for their amazing Tyler Bate and Pete Dunne costumes. They were freaking sick. Whoever was sat behind us in the Jimmy Havoc costume.
That was incredible.
That was a very solid Jimmy Havoc costume as well.
Or Warren and Sophie as Vicky and Mark Haskins.
That was brilliant.
But just for the record, the genders were swapped.
Yeah, I'd say Warren is a very sexy Vicky Haskins, we'll have to say.
Debatably more sexy than the real Vicky Haskins.
There's only one way to find out. We need some sort of sex off. Don't know how that works. Anyway, let's talk about the wrestling that happened. We are opened up with a match that we were all very, very happy with, which was Chris Brooks defeating Curtis Chapman. But of course, Goosebumps is more about what everyone's dressed as rather than what's actually going on in the ring. So Chris Brooks dressed as Joker, and he forced Kid Lycos to dress as Harley Quinn.
Like the question I asked is like, was that the Harley Quinn outfit that Nixon Newell wore a couple of years ago?
Brilliant. If it just gone, if Chris has gone, Nixon, my name's Tegan now, not to me. Can I pop past your family's house and see if you've got the Harley Quinn costume still there? Why? Lycos needs it. Okay, fair enough. Tell your mum I'm popping by.
Lycos needs it. Is he
going to fit on it? He's smaller than you. He'll fit in it. Yeah, I did love that. Lycos generally just looked like he would rather be anywhere else than there.
Yeah, because he definitely did feel that way.
And also, did you see the clip of Mark Davis on commentary? Saying, Lycos be looking thick, I like that.
Yeah, I did hear that. And also the commentary over the intense chops from Curtis Chapman. That
was tremendous. Curtis Chapman was dressed as Lycos, and he said, I've got an impression of Lycos, and then sneezed and hold his shoulder, to the point where later on in that night, Lycos tweeted, I take away my recommendation of Curtis Chapman due to accurate banter that hurt my feelings. This match was brilliant. It was a really good wrestling match, topped with Curtis Chapman just being hilarious. The chops.
He's really showing all that promise. Like, they've obviously put a lot of trust in him to bring him in. He's worked hard to get in that position, and yeah, like he's really sort of like rising to the opportunity.
And it's popping me anew every time that he announces himself as from the Cockpit Theatre as well.
Yeah,
which makes. Also, I want to say, Chris Brooks, tremendous that he's wrestling after he had a really bad car accident on Friday.
He wrestled on Friday night.
Oh no, it's insane. The man is like. Did you see the photos of the car?
Yeah,
it was like it was like a head-on with a parked car, wasn't it? That he. So like. Hopefully he's resting up now before he goes over to Japan. Because my word, like, he put it on Twitter, didn't he? He was like, it's probably rest up for after car crash, then him taking the Sega Mega Driver off of Curtis.
He's fine.
And then Chris Brooks and Lycos shared a kiss, which was lovely for them. Then
very wholesome.
And then Attack GM Lycos appeared with the world's quickest costume change. And made a 4-team suspended contract in a briefcase ladder match at the next Cardiff show. And the Ring Crew Express got well too excited thinking they were going to be in the match.
They have been known to get a bit overzealous at the announcements throughout the show.
I just love that. He goes, we've earned our spot. And then he goes, you've won one match.
And one of them wasn't even a match.
And then what I love about it, this made me pop massively. It's a shame they weren't all dressed up when he went, ring crew, assemble! And they started trying to take the ring down. So Lycos acquiesced. They could be in the match if they defeated Danny Jones and Brendan White, who were dressed as Dr. Frankenstein and PCO.
Basically PCO, wasn't it?
Yeah, so this was a really fun match.
Yeah, it was always fun to... It's always fun to see these costumes when people wrestle in them, and it's like, how long are the bolts or like the card bolts that Brendan has on his neck gonna last?
A surprisingly long time, we found out.
Stay up. It was a whole show of how long are the wigs going to stay on for.
This is true. We'll get to that obviously in the next match as well. But the Ring Crew Express got a shock win, so they are in the suspended briefcase ladder match du jour at the next Cardiff show.
But we can't confirm whether it's different members, because this time we had Clay McLeod and August Jackson.
Yes.
So normally we get Sid Oakley and
Clay McLeod.
So maybe they can do freebird rules with the Ring Crew Express.
The entire Ring Crew they've got. Then we had a serious wrestling match where Nico Angelo defeated A-Kid via pinfall. Nico's on the way up, and this was another fantastic match between these two.
I've never watched... Well, that's... Since I I struggled with Team White Wolf when they first joined Attack about 18 months ago. Didn't really get them, didn't really enjoy watching them. And within about 6 months, they really clicked for me, and I was like, oh no, I can see why people really like these now. And probably for the last year or so, I've never seen A-Kid have anything below like a stellar match, and again, this was no different. And
again, Nico Angelo just banging out matches of the night every single time he's wrestling in Attack.
Casual Nico.
He is one to watch. We then had South Wales Subculture with Mark Andrews as Buzz and Flash Morgan Webster as Woody, which was...
I think you mean Flash Morgan Woodster.
Oh, Flash Morgan Webster. Webster? That's his dubstep. That's his dubstep gimmick. Flash Morgan Webster and Mark Andrews. They were dressed as Buzz and Woody, going up against the Lost Boys, who were dressed as the Brood. And I'm still 95% certain that Joe Nelson did not know who the Brood were.
No. I'm almost certain he didn't, and still doesn't.
This was really, really fun. There were some nice little fun spots in it. We kept trying to shout "Andy's coming," and it eventually, mainly because they were doing that halfway through the match, and we ruined it for everyone, which was bad as well as good. But yeah, no, it was fun, and they went through all the hilarious catchphrases. I was hoping it was going to end with someone having a snake in their boot, but alas,
I was hoping somebody would get like stomped on their foot, so when they're like hopping around on one foot, I'd be like, "They got a snake in their boot."
That show, didn't we shout Andy's coming? And then Mark went, no, he's not.
Yeah, he did, yeah. There was, I can't remember what move it was. Flash did some sort of flip, and I was like, no, that's not what I can't remember what somebody called it. And I was like, no, that's Woody's Roundup.
Nice. It was just, also, Flash Morgan Webster got well into being a cowboy, didn't he?
He loved that moment. Like he's always been great for all of these shows. Like there's never been a single show where like he's dressed up as something and half-assed it. Christ, one of the first times I ever saw him, he was dressed as Spyro.
Actually, no, press start. Well, when I at Blackwater last year, he was dressed as one of the guys from Clockwork Orange, and proper was like in with every single word as well. It was just madness. We then had another serious wrestling match as Connor Mills defeated Chief Deputy Dunn via pinfall with a dirty roll-up using the tights. These two, I don't think I think I've seen them wrestle. This might be the second or third time they've wrestled in Attack, and
they've wrestled twice in Attack,
and both times have been
wrestled on the London show.
Have been absolute bangers.
Yeah, like they're both great. Like Damien Dunn is still to me the most underrated British wrestler.
He's
underappreciated. Tremendous. I'm going to say.
They both brawl to the back, as it seems like Mills is now feuding with the Anti-Fun police. We We then have Chuck Mambo, who's dressed as Dracula, who earlier in the day told everyone that he got bit in a forest, which doesn't shock me with Chuck Mambo.
And London.
Just in general. So he was out as Dracula. And then he went up against Gene Money, who dressed as Ned Flanders. Should we talk about the background surrounding Gene Money being Ned Flanders?
There's nothing at all.
There's nothing at all. Apparently, this was a last-minute change, and Gene Money brought this Ned Flanders costume just in case.
Well, you know the rules. You always bring your gear,
and
even if your gear is Ned Flanders.
And he was amazing as Ned Flanders.
He's just phenomenal, isn't he?
And he also accepted constructive criticism, because we mentioned that Ned's left-handed, and he went, "Oh yeah, you're right," and then started punching left-handed.
But don't forget that there was a Leftorium chant.
Oh yes, I'm happy with that.
Leftorium, sorry.
Yeah,
that gathered very quickly. That did people appreciate that.
I was hoping there would be some sort of inappropriate Maud Flanders chant, but it didn't happen. So it was just great. I just love this match so much. It was so dumb. We then got a serious main event, kind of, because there was people dressed up, but it was still a serious main event because you had the 0121. Man Like DeReese, I love Man Like DeReese, but he did go for the most basic bitch Halloween face paint.
Yeah, it's fine.
He's
allowed to.
And then Dan Maloney had a really cool looking Venom mask. I will give him that.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. That really went well with his Power Ranger jacket.
And then Cara Noir, who should just come out just with no makeup and like New Japan young boy tights. That's his costume. They defeated the Cabal via pinfall. MJ Ultra's up and about. He did that thing, which was he somehow got knocked out and managed to break his hand in the process. So he's got a big, massive cast on his arm. This was a fun match. It was kind of just a big wild brawl. I'm fairly certain I nearly died about 3 times because I couldn't get out of the way of dives. There was
it was pretty close.
The mental DeReese dive off of Cara Noir's shoulders.
Yeah, which almost went very wrong.
Yeah, like I generally was fearing for DeReese's life, but he managed to do that, and I was very excited when it worked. Cabal then beat...
But the thing with somebody like DeReese, it's amazing how he's come on this year, because he debuted in Attack this year, and nobody got him. Like, everybody was like, don't get this guy. Like, no real reaction. It was just anything. It was just heat, because we were like, boo, we don't know who you are.
It was go away heat.
And he's like beloved now.
Oh yeah, like him and Dan are like the most overacting Attack at the moment. It's brilliant. The Cabal beat down Cara of MJ Ultra, declaring Cara will never get an Attack Pro title shot, but then Mark and Flash Morgan Webster make the save, and Cara Noir poses with the belt.
He should have come out as
Sin Cara. That would have been brilliant if he came out as Sin Cara Noir. That would have been the best thing ever. Oh, maybe next time at Goosebumps. But yeah, no, it was really, really fun. Really, really enjoyable.
It's up on their Vimeo, so if you want to watch it,
yes, indeed, go on to Attack's Vimeo and go check it out. The next show is Just a Day by Feeder, which is a tremendous name at Cardiff Walkabout, and then they are on to Mistletoe, if I'm not mistaken, will be the next one after that.
Yeah,
which is
5 shows left for the year.
Which will be London, Cheltenham, Bristol, and Cardiff. Oh, London, Cheltenham, Cardiff,
it's the weekend before Christmas, basically.
Yeah. So yeah, go check that out, because that's usually the kind of the not the feud ender, but kind of the season ender,
the season finale
of Attack Pro Wrestling. So go and check that out if you can. There is a lot of wrestling happening this weekend in the UK, and we are going to run through as much of it as we possibly can. Starting off with Progress on Sunday, it'll be Chapter 97. Yes, 97. Sex robots will eventually be capable of murder. And again, it's kind of one of those cards where it's not exactly they've got one quite big marquee match, but it's probably going to low-key be a really, really solid show.
It's going to slap and bang and
slang and blap.
Exactly.
You've got Pretty Deadly looking to capitalise off their win in Manchester, going up against the Knuckle Lockers, which is obviously Progress veteran Darrell Allen, and the debuting Jordan Breaks. That'll be a very, very good match. I'm very intrigued by watching that match.
4 really, really good guys there. Pretty Deadly, still very new to a lot of people, but very much showing to be a really, they're a tag team to like really start noticing at this point because they're going to be massive next year.
Oh yes.
And like the Knuckle Lockers, Darrell Allen is tried and tested, years and years, great trainer, and then Jordan Breaks is just like it's just Catweasel all over again.
And Darrell Allen's having a bit of a resurgence in this year, just through this tag team and just wrestling in Battle Pro, doing bits, doing very, very well. We've also got Do Not Resuscitate. It's down as Chuck Mambo and Danny Duggan, but we don't know what members of it will be. It's probably going to be them two, unless mysteriously Spike Trevay or
unless somebody gets a cast off.
Yeah, so it'd probably be Chuck Mambo, Danny Duggan against the NIC, Charlie Carter and Oisin Delaney in a rematch from Chapter 94. So that'll be very, very good. The one that I'm kind of keeping an eye on is Naughty Boy Mark Andrews wrestling Connor Mills.
No, he's not. He's a good boy.
Do you not see his photo? He's got a cheeky face now. He's a cheeky boy. He's cheeky boy Mark Andrews. Cheeky chops.
Really obscure reference. You have to be around like the Attack Boys from years and years, but cheeky mocker for the lads.
It's just cheeky chops against Connor Mills. We got the rematch of Cara Noir versus Ilya Dragunov. I know we are not massive fans of Ilya Dragunov, but from what Carl told us, this match was amazing in Manchester, so I am willing to give it a chance.
There will be lots of fucking kill him, you swan.
Hopefully a swan will murder a torpedo. We then got a Progress Proteus title match. That was hard to say. Paul Robinson. A protest fight between Paul Robinson and William Eva. I saw the promo that Do Not Resuscitate did was great, mainly because William Eva pulled an accordion from out of nowhere. That was weird.
Weird, but they're those moments where you never realise that to happen.
And that match obviously could be won by knockout or submission, so Paul Robinson's probably going to stamp William Eva's head into that speaker. One would assume.
You just fuck him up.
The winner by fucking up Paul Robinson. And then for the Progress Women's Championship, Meiko Satomura makes her maiden title defense against Dani Luna. It's 6 matches on the card, but I was going to say, well, they'll add some more. But then again, I'm trying to think, was there not a card that flew by that had 6 matches last time that was quite a...
You normally, if you get 6 matches, there's normally a segment.
No, but I imagine there'll be a segment because we are recording this early on a Wednesday rather than late on a Wednesday. Normally, as we're recording this, Progress announce something. So
basically, by the time this podcast goes up, you'll probably have seen a tweet that Progress have added something. And my guess would be Eddie Dennis talks to the crowd or sets a fan on fire.
Eddie Dennis hurls abuse at Christopher Lawson again. We are going to be there, and we will also be there, flipping back a day, to 2 days actually, to Fight Club Pro, the Infinity Tournament. Not a lot has been announced for this yet. They're keeping their cards very close to their chest. It's been a bitch to write a preview for. I've had to try and go, well, this could happen, but they've announced the Moonlight Express. What they've announced is they're going to have Orange Cassidy doing a one-man show of Midnight Express.
Perfect.
The Andrew Lloyd Webber musical. Moonlight Express, the former DDT KOD tag team champions, Mao and Mike Bailey going up against Fight Club Pro's own Amari and Travis Banks. They've announced 2 of the 4, I would assume, first round matches for the Infinity Tournament. Obviously, the Infinity Tournament this year is not just for a lovely trophy, it's for the Fight Club Pro World Championship.
Well, we don't know if it's a lovely trophy because after Volta won last year's tournament, he destroyed it, so...
Well, maybe they'll have a trophy even more grandiose than before. Or
we can only hope.
Or we can only hope for a Nazi staff. Bring that bad boy.
And that's not like a Nazi dog, just for the record.
Or a Nazi member of their team. Cara Noir versus Jordan Devlin. I don't need to say anything else other than that because you know that match is going to absolutely bang between those two. Then you got Eddie Kingston versus Dan Maloney. I think I wrote in my preview, which you can check out on twm.news. If you're a fan of people getting punched in the face, you'll like this match.
I described it as a G versus a real G.
It's going to be tremendous. And also, you've got Orange Cassidy, Meiko Satomura. You would assume one, if not both of them, would be in this one. Because I was speaking to you, I was thinking it's first round, semis, and final, but it's not, is it? It's 4 first rounds, then a 4-way elimination match.
Then a 4-way, yeah.
So there will be bonus matches on the card rather than just mainly tournament and then that tag match. There are some people around that possibly could be in this, maybe, I don't know, because Ring of Honor here this weekend or next weekend?
This weekend.
So you don't know who could turn up from Ring of Honor. There's a certain man with killing...
No, they're actually... Ring of Honor are running Friday night.
Are they running Friday night?
In London, so yeah, that's possible.
Good, we're going literally the exact opposite way of Ring of Honor. Just avoiding them at all costs. But there is a certain killy boy.
Stabby, girlfriend's got a nice bum.
If he hears you, that he will literally rip your face off. Killer Cross is in the UK.
He will, and I'll be fine. Fine. I will accept his brutality.
So I'm hoping. I think I wanted Miko versus Killer Cross in that first round. That would be mental. I also want. You said a mention about possibly Joe Nelson maybe being in the tournament after his showing at.
Yeah, he had some very just huge reactions, didn't he, from over Project Mayhem? So it could be an opportunity to get him out there and further expose him to that crowd. Maybe even get him a first round win, and then even if he gets eliminated like first in the 4-way, it gets him over. Because
even it's intriguing because obviously there's no Mark, there's no Chris, there's no Lucky, there's no Kyle, there's no Timo, they're all not there. There's no going to be no ELP because obviously he's in Japan. Charlie and Millie, I don't know if they're back from.
I believe they're still in Japan,
so they might be back. So it's going to be wide open. I'm very intrigued who's going to be in that. Going to be in that tournament. I hope we do get some female representation in this. Personally, because she did have a big win at that Sendai show. I would love if Valkyrie came over and did a cheeky match in the Infinity tournament. That would be fun. But I'm there to see Orange Cassidy. Nice. Let's not lie. So, baby! OTT, the 5th year anniversary show, is on the Saturday. So, all sorts of wrestling's going on. Before we talk about anything, have you watched that hype package video?
I have not.
Go and watch it, you coward. I'll even put it in the podcast post. Because I said it before, OTT, I think, are generally the best company in the world for hype video packages at this point. They're just incredible. They're so cinematic and so well done. And they have built up this Jordan Devlin, David Starr final encounter. I'm so intrigued to watch this. I'm so going to scope it out once it comes out on the VOD format. But you've got a whole tremendous card regardless. You've got Callum Black, Killer Cross and Mike Bailey going up against Cara Noir, Amari and the OGMO. I do love when they do this because they do this a lot in OTT where they'll get big imports in, put them in a big tag match, but then stick 2 young guys with them.
Yeah.
So like they'll have Callum Black in there and the OGMO in there and stuff. You got Terry Thatcher going up against Eddie Kingston. This will be very good. I'm very intrigued to watch this one. The GOD, Guerrillas of Destiny against the Kings of the North.
Yeah, this could be a really good showcase match of the Kings of the North. Wrestling such a world-renowned tag team could really expose them massively.
It could be the night for more than hype as OTT had their No Limits title is going to be on the line in a ladder match as Scotty Davis defends against LJ Cleary. And then Darren Kearney and Nathan Martin, they are going to go after Trent Seven and Tyler Bate for the OTT tag team title. So that'll be very, very interesting. Katie Harvey is going to make her return from injury as she goes up against Valkyrie for the OTT women's title.
We can't confirm whether her sleeves will return.
we can't confirm. There may be more sleeves than the last just to make sure she keeps her arms safe. I'm really happy to see Katie Harvey back though because Katie Harvey is fucking sick. OTT world title match we mentioned, Devlin versus Starr. I do believe you have people going to that, so we'll try and keep coverage on that for next week. They've also got on the Sunday, it is Defiant Not that defiant. It's their all-women show. So you got Amy Alonzi against Ginny, you got Isla Dawn against Nina Samuels, you got Emi Sakura against Kanji, you got Raven Creed against Sami Jane, Millie McKenzie against Toni Storm, and then you've got Giselle Shaw and Katie Harvey going up against the Woke Queens, the Pro Wrestling Eve Tag Team Champions. So, not for that belt, but they are the Pro Wrestling Eve Tag Team Champions. Right.
Not forgetting, there's also this weekend, there are friends at Dragon Pro Wrestling are running a show on Sunday in Newport.
You're at that, aren't you?
I know no, because I'm at Progress with you on Sunday.
Who's going Dragon Pro that we know then?
Dan and Leah, maybe.
Okay, yeah. You've heard the
TWM
talks.
Off the top of my head, the matches I do know, you've got Bino's defending his All Wales Championship against Elijah. My boy Fletcher Law is defending his Next Wave title against Mark Andrews.
Yes,
actually. Which is interesting. Which means Mandrews and Mills will be on very early on
I imagine Mills and Mandrews will go on first, and then Mark is going to pedal that skateboard as fast as his legs could carry him.
Exactly. He's going to be like Bart trying to jump Springfield Gorge.
So I'm trying to think. That show starts at 4. I imagine the Dragon Pro show starts at...
Dragon Pro show's half start, I think it is.
6:30. So I imagine Mandrews will probably be on in the main event, maybe towards the end of the show. So
it'll probably be the co-main. It will.
So he's got 3 hours to make it from London to Newport.
Yeah, he can do that. He'll do that.
Depends if he does it via. Is he going to do it by train? Are they going to drive? We don't know. But yeah, you got that show as well, Dragon Pro up in Newport. Going to wrap things up with this though, which is obviously, if anyone's aware, I've seen it online about La Parka. He did a dive in, I believe, was it a AAA show? Or was it might have been a Mexican independent show?
I think it was a independent show.
No, Roosh was on it, so of course it was an independent. He did a dive and caught his feet on the ropes and ended up going headfirst into the floor in the barricade, taking a very, very nasty spill. Wouldn't recommend watching the video if you haven't already seen it.
No, it's not very nice. I felt like I had to see it so I knew what I was talking about. And instantly regretted it.
But just to because everyone said this, there's been a lot of different things. One, this isn't LA Park. This is La Parka. This is the person that took the name from LA Park.
Yeah. This isn't Los Angeles Park.
Yeah, this is the other La Parka. And there's been a load of rumours going around. Someone, whoever they are, I fucking hate you, put around a fake press statement saying that he passed away. With the thing that happened with Silver King this year, that's the last thing you need to be doing, is spreading false rumours. But Brian Alvarez said that when he was taken to the hospital, he had no feeling in his arms or legs. He'd injured his fourth vertebrae, and there was a lot of pressure on his on his spine and his neck, and he underwent surgery. They made it through okay. So basically, it's a sit and wait situation. He's regained the feeling back in his limbs, which is obviously a tremendous sign. We obviously wish nothing but the best for La Parka. But it's just one of those things, not to get into a big debate. I don't want to get away from these things. It's like, this seems to happen an awful... He's probably done that dive countless times, over the last 20 years probably. And he's just caught his feet. It happens. It worries me anytime I see anybody catch a feet in any sort of dive, or they over-rotate, under-rotate, anything like that. It's so scary to see, because it almost happened on Sunday with Ace Romero, didn't it? Yeah, this is true.
That could have been so much worse.
For me, the biggest thing, I don't want to get into a big debate stuff, is the fact that anytime you watch a AAA or a CMLL or the Crash or anything, there's no mats on the floors. And there's a lot of dives. Yeah. A lot of times it's very hard, like wooden or metal floor. If there was a mat down there, it would have absorbed the blow somewhat, you would argue. And it might have still been as bad, but you never know. It's one of those things. I feel like there needs to be more concern when you're 9 out of 10. If someone's doing a dive, there's usually 2 or 3 people to help catch them. But every time you do it in Mexico, it's always one person catching another person, and the margin of error is there great. And in this case, this freak accident has happened. Obviously, we wish a speedy recovery to La Parka. That wraps things up on this week's the Indie Wrestling Show. If you want to get in touch with us, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all at TWM Wrestle. You can subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Podbean, Acast, TuneIn, and YouTube, and wherever else you get your pods. On TWM.news this week, you can check out articles regarding the Progress Tag Team titles, Fight Club Pro, there's previews for Infinity, there's previews for Chapter 97. We've got a review of Attack Pro Wrestling Goosebumps coming up. There's loads of stuff in regards to Brit Wrestling. If you can't check it out on TWM.news, you can check it out on the Babyface app on the Google and Apple stores. Mike, social media.
At Tony_Deppen.
I'm at Matty ID. As I said before, we are at TWM Wrestle. This has been the Indie Wrestling Show. Go support your local wrestling. If you're down at Fight Club Pro, you're down at Progress or at OTT or anywhere in the world of independent wrestling, go and enjoy yourself. Have a great time. And we'll see you and we'll speak to you next Wednesday.